hey, what happens when the current outcome doesn't match the perceived outcome? Well, in that situation, actually, there are two ends of the extreme. One end of the extreme is that you continue to work towards the perceived outcome and you strive every day to do something about it, to work towards that perceived outcome itself. However, the thing is, if you're not going to be able to achieve that perceived outcome anytime soon or within that time frame that you thought that you might, what's going to happen is you're going to feel some level of exhaustion, some level of fatigue, and even some level of disappointment. However, if you take the other end of the extreme, which means you kind of acknowledge that this is what it is, and you try to live in harmony with it, then what's going to happen is, you especially if you're someone who is always looking to make things better, then there will always be that nagging thought that what if I have done this, what if I've done that, what if I tried this, or what if I have bought this course, for example. Now the truth is, in this current situation, especially with COVID-19, is many people are, along this spectrum itself. But what's really important for us to recognize is that there are three levels of control. And I like to think of it as in terms of a spectrum. And that spectrum is basically something that you have absolute control over, and some things you have absolute no control over. And then there are things that you have somewhat of a control over. Let me explain. So things I have control over, absolute control over: what time I get up, what time I go to bed, what attitude I would choose when faced with any of this circumstance. That's what I have control over. What I have no control over is how other people are going to behave in public, whether how fast the disease, the COVID-19, is going to be spreading. I have no control over that. But there are certain things that I have somewhat of a control over. And this could be seen like, in this current situation where some of us are experiencing a dramatic decrease of income. So what are some of the things that you have control over? Well, I will believe that we have control over what we put out in the market. What are we going to put out in the market? That's what we have somewhat of a control over. But we have no control over whether people would buy or not. However, we are able to influence them. And the way that we can influence them essentially is to be able to show and not tell. In other words, to be able to demonstrate to them what is our capability, what is our talent, what is our strength, and how we can help them solve the problem. And so if you continue to take that approach yourself, I think you will be far better off and less feeling of anxiety and frustration, because you will not fall into that category whereby you think you have control over everything and you try to work towards it, yet you never quite arrive at that perceived outcome. So what are some of the things that you have somewhat control over and that you can work on it that would be able to help bring you closer to your perceived outcome? Share with me.